All right. Hello, 2018, and welcome to our first Dragon Plus live stream of the year. As always, I'm your host, Bart Carroll, and with me as co-host is Sean Mayovsky.
Hello.
So a couple very quick announcements here at the beginning. Our guest today will be Chris Imlay from Dialect, our publisher of Dragon Plus, the online magazine for which this live stream is very much in support of. So we'll have Chris on momentarily, although I see him right now on Skype waiting patiently
in the background. If you hear a disembodied voice, it's going to be him.
It would be good to have a voice of God kind of come in from a narrator, I should say.
Narrator.
Apologies for folks expecting Adam Rex. Adam Rex, the author and illustrator, and the illustrator of this month's cover for Dragon Plus, issue 17. Last minute scheduling change. Adam is going to be on next week's live stream. We will be, unfortunately, Tuesdays are a no-go. So we'll be taping a segment with Adam on Thursday that will be running next Tuesday as well. So apologies there, but we'll touch base on Adam and his many fine works today and preview what he'll be talking about next week as well. So in any case, again, welcome to 2018. We had a few weeks off for the holiday break for Dragon Plus, but I'm excited to be back. We're, as always, very excited to have everyone tuning in, listening, watching to us talk about the content heading into each issue of Dragon Plus, where we discuss the playing, the design, the development, the running of your Dungeons & Dragons game content. For this initial live stream of the year, we wanted to touch base a little bit on what we had done the year before, not just in Dragon Plus, the online magazine, but on the live stream, and talk a bit about what we have coming up for this coming year as well. Again, in the magazine and the live stream. Part of which also is to bring to the forefront some of the folks that work on both the magazine and the live stream. Thus, Chris Imlay coming in from Dialect in a few minutes, and his first time in front of the camera, apparently, Sean Mayovsky.
Yeah, first time in building in front of the camera, but yeah, it's a different beast.
So welcome to the live stream.
I understand why everyone yells at me for lights now.
Everyone yells at you because the lights are too
bright.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just being on front of a live camera with the lights in your face. It kind of compounds the flop sweat. I'm all about the flop sweat, so this is where it comes into play.
I guess that's why Chris wears a hat all the time.
Oh, yes. So for folks that might not be aware of who you are and your duties here, usually behind the cameras.
Yes, I am usually the one setting up and making sure streams are going. It was nice when we started this last year, I was kind of running the show for technical directing it, and then it's been coming up with new setups, coming up with new, like, where camera placement goes. I think we don't go a week without changing where the camera's at or where lights are at or set or anything like that. So it's been a fun ride.
A little inside baseball, but yeah, one of the things that we had done throughout the year last year was actually facing the studio, and we had different art. Shauna, who also works on the covers for Dragon Plus, was instrumental in getting the design for us here as well.
Yeah, these are great. These are they're so nice. Even the strips that we had when we were using just the soundproofing and the strips that we were using, it's like, oh yeah, these are great. Can we get actual pictures? Yeah, sweet.
Well, when we first started doing the Dragon Plus live stream, we had the covers on the wall.
Oh, yeah. We put the strips with the covers.
Which would only very occasionally peel off from the tape midstream and come down crashing to the floor. So yes, the actual printed pieces are...
They tend to stay up on the wall a lot more.
They do. It's a little nicer. Yep. So this is one of the many things that you're involved with is the actual production side of the live stream.
Yep. Usually behind the curtains, no bother with me. I'll just be back here making things work.
So this was sharing the pain, getting everyone in front of the camera, as Chris Imlay will also be able to attest to. So really quickly, what is your background with Dungeons & Dragons?
So I started
The most general question that
always
ask.
Oh, I didn't even prep for this one.
Then the answer's got to be honest.
The oldest, so I was about 10 when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I started in one of my really good friend who lived down the street. Her father was running an advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and so I'm like, yeah, sure, let's play some of this, and I got hooked instantly. We only played like 4 sessions, and then from there I just went on, like, my friend started a game that was Knights of the Round Table, and he's like, I need someone else to like corral the people. Here, play Merlin. And I'm like, yes. So it just kind of skyrocketed from there, and to the point where in the last couple of years, I've been playing about 3 to 4 times a week.
Wow. Here at Wizards of the Coast, home campaigns and combination thereof?
Combination. I'm currently started up 2 in lunchtime campaigns with just a random group of people, and then with my whole entire team. And then I have a 9-person game, 8 to 9-person game that I run every other Friday, and then a whole bunch of one-shots that we tend to do for a bunch of different stuff, which is a lot of fun.
We were just talking about that. Shelley and I were doing a discussion about doing one-shots for our team as well. So we need to get that into the forefront.
I'm going to have Sean from your guys' team in one of my games, and I'm super looking forward to that.
Sean Wood?
Yeah.
He's a good DM.
Well, he's going to be a player, so that's going to be fun.
I was going to mention, Sean DM'd one of the endeavors that we ran in 2017 was Extra Life, of course. And again, much appreciation for everyone who was able to donate, to watch, to participate in any way, shape, or form. And Sean, you were also instrumental in the production side of that. Yeah,
I've been doing the behind the scenes for that for the past 4 years, I think. And that is, every year we try and do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then this year we still did a lot more, but it was a lot less on effort, which was really nice. So we enjoyed it. I think this year was a lot more enjoyable.
And you produce it not just for the D&D side, you're also involved in the Magic Extra Life.
Yep, I do, not only for D&D, but I do Magic stuff as well. So this room is multi-purpose used, so tomorrow we'll be on here for Magic. I'll be back there. But being in here, being able to see this and like be a part of this is a lot of fun. How
did you get started with Extra Life? Was it just we need somebody to be running the live stream event? Yeah, it was kind of just hey, there's this cool whole 24-hour we're gonna do D&D, and I'm like, yes, I'm in. And then it was like, technical stuff, you can do this, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And then it just went from there, which is nice. So again, one of the things that we experimented with, I think 2017 was a year of trying things out, at least in some of the platforms that we're involved with, was Extra Life. In years past, D&D has done its own Extra Life Day, and then they sort of married together with the Magic Extra Life Day. This past year in 2017, we did a little bit of experimentation where we broke apart from the Magic side, so that we could align it more with Gamehole Con and the actual Extra Life Day on November 4th. So for 2018, we'll definitely be doing more with Extra Life, and we'll probably be starting it even earlier than ever. Again, one of the other Extra Life experimentations that we did was getting involved with the DMs Guild, and we'll talk a bit more about those creations at the end. But the partnership with Dungeons & Dragons, the DMs Guild, and Wizards of the Coast was all very wonderful for 2017, so we'll look to do that again in 2018. So that's me prattling on for far too long already, so I think we should bring on Chris, because I know he's eager to join the conversation here. I can see his... There we go, there's Chris. So first and foremost, welcome to the Dungeons & Dragons Dragon Plus live stream. Chris, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So for folks who might not be familiar with who you are and your role, can you introduce your role with Dragon Plus and Dialect?
Yeah, absolutely. We were lucky enough to get asked by you guys to make a digital magazine for you, and we've done that for a variety of other people, and most of our company has a history in consumer-facing publishing. So I used to be the art director of Nintendo Power and a bunch of gaming magazines and stuff like that. So and that's what I do. I kind of at the topmost of the tippity top of making sure that the design of not only the issues but the app and everything really kind of works and gets done and is what you guys and what your readers want.
It is. It's been a pleasure working with you and Dialect as well. Again, this is some of the sort of the inside makings of the platforms that I'm involved in, that we're involved with. And every week we have our call Dialect, where we go through the issue flat plan, talk through the content that's coming up. Shauna joins us as well to talk through the art, to talk through the cover creation, and Chris is obviously very much a big part of that. So before we dive into a little bit more, belated happy holidays to you both. We haven't had a live stream since before the holidays, so hopefully they went well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, went great with me. Family, fun. I didn't do much super playful stuff, but a lot of outside time and time with family. Good stuff.
Same, a lot of family stuff. Most of like game stuff kind of got put on hold because holidays and family and getting to see everybody. So, exactly. But yeah, enjoyable. How about yourself?
It was good. It was good. It was relaxing. It was nice always to relax. Got my hands on some minis to paint as one of my Christmas presents. So I'm looking forward to diving into that as well.
Which minis?
It is here's my pitch for a product outside of the company. Reaper Minis does a painting set.
Okay.
So I wanted to try my hand at learning to paint the minis from sort of a instructional point of view, so that when we have the WizKids and the Gale Force 9 unpainted minis, I can actually do a better job on those.
Nice.
And that's me trying to steer it back to our actual product.
Crafty in two senses.
Well played.
We're getting them all.
One of the things I'd like to try on the Dragon Plus live stream is, as we've experimented through the year, it's tried to make more visual use of the medium. Dragon Talk, of course, does interviews like this. We brought in Skyping. For 2017 in Dragon Plus, we started doing board game demos, which we will continue moving forward. In fact, we will have. Oh, got it written down here. We'll have some more Dragonfire play coming up in the weeks and months ahead. They're excited to come back into the studio and showcase some of their expansions.
Nice.
I know Avalon Hill has a few things in the works. So we did Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
Super fun game.
So
oh my god, that's a fun game.
In the last issue of Dragon Plus, we did the bonus Betrayal at Baldur's Gate holiday scenario with Krampus.
Ooh, Krampus, and then that would be fun.
I think in hindsight we kind of slipped that by. Matt Cernit tends to be the gatekeeper of Forgotten Realms lore. Krampus, not exactly an official part of the Forgotten Realms canon, but we did get a holiday scenario out, which was a lot of fun and a lot of thanks to the Wizards of the Coast Board Game Club for doing playtest after playtest after playtest on that as well. So.
Nice.
So for folks looking for an extra Betrayal scenario, Dragon Plus, the latest issue, has that one still in there. In any case, yes, one of the boy, that was a tangent. One of the visual experimentations I wanted to try on the Dragon Plus live stream this year was getting some minis painting as well.
Ooh, that would be fun.
We've had Dan Jellin as one of our awesome mini painters in the pages of Dragon Plus, the magazine, in the past, and so it would be fun to have Dan or someone else. We've got lots of great mini painters here in the building coming into the studio to do a bit of instructional work for,
That would
for
be
folks
interesting.
to see.
We'll have to see. We'll work on it because I mean the draw something one that we did, or the draw
Dungeons
the
and
sketch,
Doodles?
yeah.
Yes.
That was super fun to watch. So
That was one of our experiments. Again, from last year, we had Stan Brown, and Emmy and Richard Witters come in for Dungeons and Doodles and do kind of a sketch hour. And we didn't know how that was going to play out. This was one of those things where you helped out tremendously getting that figured out.
yeah, that came down to a couple of just days going, all right, so will this camera work as a top-down view? Will this camera work? Okay, do I need something over here? And then it turned out really well for what we have in studio. So that's nice.
I thought so. Hopefully the viewers did as well. They seem to. The feedback was very positive on Dungeons and Doodles. So speaking of that, we will definitely be doing Dungeons and Doodles coming up. I believe the next one will be in February.
Cool.
Stan and Richard are very eager to come back and do another round of sketching. So nice. Again, in the spirit of experimentation, we'll probably rotate through the various folks that will be participating. I believe Adam Lee might be swapping in for Emmy this time. We'll have other artists that work with Wizards of the Coast, that work with the D&D brand, either here when they're able to, or Skyping in as well, as Chris is today, to participate in Dungeons and Doodles. So yeah, one of the many things that we'll be trying for this year.
Nice.
So that was the holidays. Again, Dragon Plus issue 17 dropped right before the holidays. So as always, Chris, thank you for your fine work on getting that out the door.
Yeah.
That one included a rather extensive gift guide with some digital codes available. There we go. There's the cover of it right now. I believe the gift codes have all hit their expiration date, but hopefully for folks that were able to use the gift guide, made good use of those. And if you have gift cards, gift certificates from friends and family, maybe some of the other products from our partners will catch your eye in there as well. Again, the cover that you just saw, that was from author and illustrator Adam Rex, who will be on the show next week.
Cool.
So Chris, kind of going back to, I guess, the genesis of Dragon Plus, we were talking a bit about how that all came together. We hit issue 17 in December. We go out every other month. So thinking back to issue 1, have you been? I have not been a part of it since the very beginning, but I believe that you have.
Yeah, no, I've been, and before issue 1, when when we were just kind of putting and pitching and just kind of designing what the front end would look like and thinking about the whole process. Yeah, we've been, I've been there the whole time. So yeah.
So what sort of considerations were there, from a design perspective, content notwithstanding, and that varies issue to issue, but how did you sort of want to approach the creation of the magazine, how it was put together?
Well, I mean, we really kind of, this is like I'm sure will echo, so much of Dungeons and Dragons is design, in the sense of you have parameters that you are set in stone, and then you let your players, or you let your readers, or you let the content kind of do what it may. So that's an abstraction, kind of a ephemeral thing to say, but we kind of really kick the tires on the whole concept of a magazine, because I think people have ideas about what magazines are. And there was a Dragon and a Dungeon magazine in the past, you know? And so it's like, is there any value in a digital magazine? We could have just made a blog, or, there's so many ways to kind of have content, and what makes it a magazine, So I think for design nerds and people who make things, this is possibly an interesting conversation.
And we're showing the issue covers
cool.
on screen right now as we.
All of those covers were really, I'm not responsible for it all, to be honest, because the creative director of Dungeons and Dragons, Shauna, who I'm sure you'll have on the show eventually, you know, and you have no embarrassment you have an embarrassment of riches in designers and illustrators. You know, that's kind of been really interesting as I go on a tangent. What a really wonderful thing to have is access to so much beautiful art and so many illustrators, and it just kind of it makes this kind of an easy job. But in thinking about magazines and like what a digital magazine, would it have any value inherent in itself outside of conceits of like you know, just things that used to be on paper like Flipboard or something. You know, you're still accessing a stream. If you think of like content on the web, digital content, you're just accessing streams, and it's all organized chronologically. You know, it's like the reason this post is next to this post is because this one came before that. You know, you schedule them, and magazines are not organized temporally like that. They're organized by intent. You know, we put this article before this article before this article, before, you know, and we've talked a lot about how our users interact with it and made decisions about what we put in the back of the book versus the front of the book. And so it's kind of an interesting design choice, and kind of an important one, is that it's not temporally organized. That is to say, you're not, as a reader or user, just tapping into a stream. You know there's an end to this thing, and you know the order is kind of on purpose. So I know I'm kind of getting high concept here, but
no, by all means.
This is what we do. This is the DVD extras behind the scenes.
Oh, this is great. Yeah.
So the reader of Dragon Plus is a bit more conscious about the specific content that they're hitting page by page, as opposed to going through all of it in a way.
I mean, it's like you each kind of, when you use a word like magazine, you're making a certain kind of promise to people. In the same way that, like, if you bought a movie ticket, and perhaps this is a terrible analogy, but if you bought a movie ticket and you're like, this is a movie, I'm going to a movie, I sit down, and then suddenly you're forced to watch the all seasons of The Punisher. You know, it would be you'd want to go to the bathroom. You know, it'd be like, I didn't pay for that. You know, I didn't sign up for this. So, you know, when you make a promise a magazine, you're kind of making a promise that there's going to be a certain amount of content. It's not going to go on forever. You're not tapping into this endless stream. So there's a certain psychology that you have when you kind of understand that as a user, as a person who's like interacting with this thing. So we did like, we kind of wanted to emphasize those kind of things by calling it a magazine, by organizing it that way. And we did little things to it that probably nobody notices that kind of emphasize the difference between, because in the app, if you look at the front page, it has a news component. Mm-hmm. You know, if you swipe up, you see, which is like the stream, how we're used to interacting with the written word with pictures on the web, you know. And all the interactions are up and down with that. But with a magazine, we wanted, this is a really small thing, but we wanted all the interactions to be horizontal. So that first row of horizontal covers that you see, immediately when you are thinking of issues of a magazine, your first interactions have to be horizontal interactions. And then when you tap it downloads, you are prompted to swipe horizontally. So we try to make the interactions be subtly different so that even they kind of tell you there's a difference between news that's just flowing and the issue, which has a beginning and an end. That was kind of maybe a little...
No, it makes it very much feel like more book-like reading, like I'm actually reading into something versus just scrolling through on Facebook day to day to day. So it makes it very easy to read and nice and fun.
This is my own bad analogy. It sounds like the news feed, in a way, and in general, is the river. It's going to flow one way. And with the magazine, you're making bridges across it in very conscientious ways and at very conscious points where you want to get to the other side for specific things on the other side.
And sometimes we do this really well, and sometimes we don't. We do it okay. And, you know, I mean, this is in no means, you know, saying that we do this perfectly all the time. But it's a really different psychology if you think about it, and kind of like going to a movie and then ending up having to see either a short film, you know, it's like that was a 5-minute ad, you know, you'd be upset. You know, the promise of the magazine is that it takes about this amount of time. There's going to be an end to it, so you have a different relationship with it. And the web now is a stream where you have it's like a table of contents in an old magazine. You just have a lot of like, I see a little picture, I see a headline, maybe a blurb, and then I'm deciding, am I reading that? Yes, no, yes, okay, I go, then I'm there, and then I'm done, and I go back to the stream, and it's a really different relationship, and I think that, I don't know, I think people kind of, want, there was something that we thought of when we kicked the tires and stripped away all the things about what is magazine-ness and does it have any value in a digital age, I think limits the idea that you knew that there was a beginning and an end to this little bundle of content was actually kind of important to us. And also the way you interact with it, because when you swipe to the next thing, if you are interacting with it that way, you see the cover, you swipe, you see the contents, you don't know what's to the right, unlike you do, you know what I mean? Like,
when you can see the little picture down,
yeah. So when you're swiping, you're kind of just trusting, like, okay, whoa, that's cool, and so it's also, again, a different kind of way of interacting. Not everybody chooses to interact that way, and that's fine, but it's an interesting to try to reinforce some of those things, which is partly why we built it the way we did, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I think most of our readers don't know that we're an HTML product. It's an application that you download, but it's all built in HTML. And the reason we did that was in this way was twofold. If you think this is interesting, if not, just slap me right now.
Keep going.
Is that I come from a paper magazine background. I worked at a bunch of paper magazines my whole life. And when digital magazines first started happening, they were done bespoke. So, you had to, the paper is a certain size, as you know, but as soon as you get into the digital stuff, it can flow in a variety of different ways. So at first we designed them as images, like we did with traditional old magazines. You'd see those early iPad things, and they had columns of text, and you'd flip it, and it would have a page. It was very much kind of like reading a little tiny magazine. But then the problem happened is then phones came around, and then so you had this other version of the phone, and then the real big problem was Android came around, and there are like 25,000 unique devices that will hit, so you kind of have to balance, like, when you have something that's like really limited, you're able to design it beautifully in this like space that's entirely predictable, but then you only get to hit like a fraction of a percent or serve people who have, this particular Android device or this particular Android device. So it really became one of those things where if we wanted to make this as seeable as possible by as many people, we couldn't afford the army of designers to like design, spend an entire week designing for each one of those 25,000 different phones, you know what I mean? Because you're not just talking about aspect ratios, you're talking about the pixel density, and they treat images differently. It gets out of control. So we thought HTML was like a really democratizing way to get the magazine to be able to be seen by as many people as possible for not so much expense. Because I don't think anybody could afford to make 25,000 magazines for every device out there.
Certainly not us. And from the user's perspective, again, this will be my ad roll that I put in the middle of the episode as well. The cost of the magazine to the user is nothing.
Exactly.
So if you haven't had a chance to download the Dragon Plus app, it's for free on iOS and Android, and because it is HTML, it's also on dragonmag.com. So another avenue where folks are able to digest the content however they choose.
And to be like, not to be too, but we do a lot of work with a lot of companies, and I've worked for a lot of different people, and I really would love to tell the people watching that, like, you're one of you actually are making this for them. This isn't like Facebook or Twitter or something where you're necessarily the product, you're not, it's like just we've only been asked to make a proper magazine for readers, not, so I think I don't know, I really kind of actually admire what you guys are doing, and not just because you're hiring us to make it for you.
No, I appreciate that. And I will emphasize that pitch as well. That is our underlying philosophy with Dragon Plus is to truly create and deliver the best user experience in terms of the digital magazine and the content that it contains. And so again, I'll say this to the viewers as well. As we roll into 2018, we are always actively eager for feedback on how to improve that experience. The best way is probably go ahead and use the feedback tools within each magazine itself, fill out the survey, just fill out the comments field in the survey. We read every comment and we take them to heart about how we can improve the experience and what kind of content we can deliver through Dragon Plus. So, but thank you.
Yeah, no, it's really true. I mean, just one little thing about this is that you're one of the only people who said I think we need one fewer. We shouldn't put we should put less ads in. You know.
Well, and now we're veering into a bit of the content, and
sorry.
No, not at all. Again, this was sort of the behind the scenes episode of the live stream, but Matt Chapman is our editor-in-chief, and we'll have him on a future live stream as well to talk a bit more of the content. But again, just to kind of cursorily touch on that, the content. There were not even a mandate, but just sort of our philosophy is to be informational, of course. And Dragon Magazine had done that from the beginning, to of course let you know what products are coming out for the brand. And now with Dungeons and Dragons having so many platforms, analog and digital, and our licensees and all of our great partners, we want to be able to present what's out there. And of course to provide added material to folks' games, bit of fiction where we can. The cartoons have always been a nice add. This, touching upon what you had mentioned about the constraints of the magazine, one of the ideas that Stan had for the cartoon was doing something super long, where you can scroll all the way down, which you can do in a digital magazine, which you can't do in a print magazine. So finding ways to experiment with the format is on our mind as well.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the beauty of, I mean, doing it in HTML, you'll notice that there's a difference between our magazine and a website in that we were able to build, again, from the get-go, a CMS that allowed us deciding what things we wanted to control and what things we didn't want to control. Because if you control everything, you end up in that place where you're designing 25,000 different unique magazines. But if you, so we can control certain aspects of how, whether it's a post that has a parallax background or we can play with the headlines, and we can actually get in there and we're basically bespoke designing a bunch of story pages, that you're flipping to and from. But we don't want to do too much of that because then it becomes really problematic in terms of getting the thing done affordably so that you can give it away for free, right?
Yeah. I'm just laughing really quick. I think I'm taking heat because your shirt branded is trumping my unbranded.
Just a nice button-up shirt.
I need to up. I'm being told I need to up my shirt game. So.
I'm looking for my swag, and it's not around. There's a ice on my shoulder.
So some of the design considerations, and I think elements that you bring, which we appreciate, are when we do the page layouts. I mean, you're actively looking for the illustrations, the designs that we might already have as part of the D&D. The gift guide page we just put up there as well. I mean, you had reached back into the first edition monster manual to find a little leprechaun that was going to make just a nice little widget to kind of add to it. If folks aren't aware, if you go down to the, and I don't know that we have an image of it, but if you go to the staff credits page at the end, there's always a bit of an Easter egg that folks can find.
Yes, you're outing this for the first time. I can show you on my screen, I guess, if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know if you have one, but it only works on iOS, sadly, and that's because of how native browsers, Android native browsers don't allow overflow. It's like they all have their own kind of like weird physics. Tell me if you can see this.
It's a bit washed out on the screen, but I can see, yes. So if iOS users go to that page, oh, there we go.
And this is my personal favorite one, actually, because I was able to. You can't see it probably.
No,
but.
Yep, the gelatinous cube.
Yeah, we got a
nice little guy.
Instead of saying thank you, I wrote thank cube. I need to do one of those things where he does on CSI Miami now. Thank you. Sorry.
So yeah, so there's always that Easter egg for iOS users. If no one has ever known that, there's a pull down in the end of that as well. So. So that's some of the design considerations that I appreciate working with you at Dialect, putting into each issue as well. I was kind of curious, just kind of going back. You had mentioned work in the print magazine field, and then transitioning to the digital magazine field. And were there other? I mean, was that just an absolute sea change in terms of design considerations? Were there difficulties in bridging from one side to the other? Is it a completely different game?
Yes and no, and that's kind of why I perhaps ephemerally alluded to like design principles in general, because I think it was an enormous sea change, and so many publishing companies had so much trouble. I mean, I think a lot of you worked at Dragon Mag, right? I mean, so you're kind of familiar with that.
Certainly people in Wizards of the Coast, and still on the Dungeons & Dragons team. Matt Cernan was editor-in-chief, Chris Perkins, Chris Young. So yes, it goes way back.
But I think the underlying principles are the same. And strangely, I would say, and I don't know if I can give you an example to effectively back this up, but I think that a lot of the principles in magazine design specifically, back in the day, a lot of the high-end principles really are a really good training tool for the principles of design in user experience and user interface. Because if you remember, like in magazines, I don't know, I've got, like people interact with them very fluidly. And how do you're always like, if you recall in magazines, they always have those little things like where you are in the feature, or like what feature is this, or what am I reading? What is this? And I think we did spend a lot of time trying to make sure that no one would be confused where they were. If they flipped open a page to a certain area, they could navigate where they were, what this was, where they were going. And we would spend a lot of time thinking about, Fitts law, or like, hierarchy, state, like what serve the reader in their understanding of what they should read first, what they should read second, that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of the principles are the same, and they're probably related to the principles of any kind of design, be it running a game, or designing a book, or
One thing we can't accomplish with the digital side is the ever-present subscription inserts in the physical magazine.
Oh,
so
I hated those.
You can't scroll through Dragon Plus and have all of those cards falling out.
I just found one. This is from like the early 2000s. Probably.
But always in there. There's always one more. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's always one more than you always expect. So
right.
It's like, oh, I found that one, and then like you start reading. Where did that one come from?
Probably 4 more than you need. That's the other. But hey, gotta get the subscriptions going.
Yep.
So I was going to ask. For 2017 we started with issue 12. This was to Terry's Cats issue. The South Korean artist had done these fantastic cats, and Adam Lee did a great job with creating sort of a world-building sort of exercise to presenting, like, hey, how these might fit into your game world. And then the next issue was issue 13 with, I believe this was our Endeavors issue. And this one, Shauna has consistently come up with fantastic out of the box ideas for the covers. And we'll see this in a couple of other issues as well. Sometimes they are original works of art, such as Adam Rex created, and sometimes they're physical constructs. She's done the statue from Out of the Abyss, and then the Endeavor issue here. This was our Peeps recreating the first edition Player's Handbook statue, stealing the idol from the gem, recreating that in Peeps was it was one of those things where it was, we'll ask forgiveness from the
Peeps instead of permission.
Maybe they're not Peep. Oh, I think that's what it was. They're not actually Peeps. The artist created their own marshmallow confections
in order to avoid Big Peep.
In order to avoid Big Peep. If memory serves, that's how it went. So the reason I was kind of going through a few of these was I was going to ask if there were, and this one in particular, I had an answer ready to go. Were there any challenges that we presented along the way about, here's all the content that we want you to fit into the issue the best possible way, and were there ever, and Sean has the same thing when we do the live streams and we go, hey, we want to have 4 people doodling at once. Can you figure out how to make this happen?
Go.
Yep. Were there?
We only have 2 cameras though.
Right. Exactly. Figure it out. For 2017 for Dragon Plus, were there ever times where it was like, hey, we're going to put this in the issue. We don't know how, but like, oh, let me put some thought into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's kind of this, I'm sure that there were, but usually it's like, yes, we can solve that problem, or no, we can't solve that problem. It's kind of like, but I think with covers, not really, because covers they're not really serving the same purpose that they do traditionally. They're like an icon, a little, boop, icon for the issue. I mean, you get to see it full screen, but you'll notice that we do different ones for different ones. But looking through them, I realized you're right. How there's an unusually high percentage of like real life things that Shauna has had made so that we can photograph them and make them into a cover. It's like it's a really high percentage actually. There's
this is the origami one that we're
the
showing
origami one.
Yeah.
I mean
there's the circuit board one. That's the one that Nick commissioned.
This is
the statue.
That's actually a physical statue that we photographed, and there's the statue itself. Sorry, Chris, I don't know if you can see
No, it's right. I know what you're talking about.
So this is Zigtami.
Zugget
Moy. Boy, we'll do a pronunciation episode coming up down the road. But yeah, Zugget Moy was a physical statue that was created.
That would be a fun one. Do just a pronunciation guide because we've got all the names on D&D Beyond.
D&D Beyond?
Yeah.
Like a game. We'll do a game show.
Can you actually say this?
So who again?
Yes.
You should do a soundboard. I mean, it's something that help. This is the correct pronunciation.
Oh no, we've got that at dndbeyond.com. They have a tool set where you can go through.
When you're looking at the monsters in D&D Beyond, there's a little pronunciation, and then there's a little. Some of them, most of them have icons that you can click on, so who again? And it's like, I've been saying that wrong forever. Or just
awesome.
I don't know very many. I don't know of the other ones that I've been wrong on.
I can't pronounce regular words. The other day I didn't know if I was going out for a poke bowl or a poke bowl. I still have no idea the correct.
It's the accent.
I have no idea, but in any case, so yeah, we showed up the circuit board was a physical cover as well, and then do we have the carved pumpkins? And there's the physical one, and for I think it was the 2016 October issue. Going back, Shauna had commissioned a pumpkin carver who does artisan pumpkin carvings to do. Oh, there we go. To do, and this was around the time of the Giants campaign. So this was like a big giant playing the game of stuff to see how many halflings they could actually fit
in their face.
And fit in their face. But
I know she does a fantastic job, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, one of the challenges I was thinking of from the past year that you guys had handled a couple of them, and again, just so folks know a bit of how it works, was when we did the Endeavors issue, it was around the time of Tales of the Yawning Portal, which had 7 adventures. And so I think I pitched it as, hey, we're going to do coverage for Tales from the Yawning Portal, but it's going to be in 7 distinct parts. And so we really jam-packed that issue with the fiction and some interviews and all of that stuff. But you handled it magnificently. I think that was back when you invented sort of that little hub for Tales from the Yawning Portal, and then they branched out to the different sections of the adventures that we wanted to cover.
Yeah, and again, that kind of comes from old-timey magazine craft, where you've probably seen this in reading physical magazines of yore, where you can just create a package by codifying and making the design consistent throughout, which again limits you. When you make something consistent, you're basically making constraints that you are arbitrarily, but for a good reason, so not arbitrarily, but you're like making those constraints so that people looking at it know that it's related. It's kind of, so I keep trying to like pull this out into greater design, but it's true. You just you create something special by doing something different. So it's like, hey, this isn't like all the other issues. Like, whoa, another table of contents in the middle of my issue. What's going on here? And then you kind of okay, this is different now, and then the consistency of the pieces and the way that they were paced is that's like good. That's just good magazine ideation. It's and it also makes it easier because it's codified. So it's like all that huge amount of stuff, which is great. I mean, you get so much value out of the issue because it's enormous. I mean, it's like but it also makes it feasible to make.
We've had a few issues where we've had extra content that have had to spill into to the future issues. But as always, and again for readers, we do try and stuff each issue as much as possible with the turducken style of content and material. But you always handle it well, and so I mean, again, from my consideration, I think the work is great, and it's very much appreciated.
You're very generous.
So I'll reiterate kind of what we had mentioned at the beginning, that we'll continue to ideate and come up with new concepts and ideas, and look forward to implementing them in the pages of the digital pages of Dragon Plus and on the live stream as well. So again, for viewers, for folks, for readers that are interested in seeing any particular content, any particular approach to content, again, reach out to us. You've got our Twitter handles on the screen now, and so yeah, Chris, now you've been publicly exposed via your Twitter.
Oh no!
Your Twitter handle is now out into the wild. And again, please feel free at any time for readers to go into the pages of Dragon Plus and fill out the feedback survey. It's vital for us to continue to push the magazine in the direction that you as the readers want.
It's actually changed because of feedback from there. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely as well. And for the live stream as well, I'd make that pitch. Again, one of the things we're interested in doing in the Dragon Plus live stream is sort of experimenting with the content that we're delivering. Interviews like today, but again, the drawing show, board game demos, painting, what have you.
This at one point was one of those. It's like, can we do a sit-down interview?
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Right.
Sure.
Right. And this was, I believe, your idea. We'll change up the studio setup
Get
from
a
table. We'll do a couch and do it.
We might have had to hot swap a bunch of couches to find a black one that actually fits nice. And nice pillows with it, which only a few people can use because they're wool. And some people are allergic to wool in the company. So that's fun.
I did not know that was a thing, but now I know that's a thing.
So
they must not be from Scotland.
He sat down once and he's like, is that wool? We're like, yes. He just chucks it across the room. It's like, I'm allergic to that. I'm like, oh, okay.
So again, for viewers interested in what we might do on the live stream, let us know. Let us know on the Twitter handle. Let us know on any of the Dungeons & Dragons social media feeds. So, I did have a before we let you go. I did have a few more announcements I'd love to get through. Just to again, just because it's my personal passion. Congratulations to the Alabama Crimson Tide for winning the college national championships last night. And condolences to folks in Georgia, but it was a great game. The live stream schedule, we did have some shows that wrapped up at the end of last year. We had, and Sean and Pelham behind the screen right now are intimately familiar with all of our live streaming show endeavors, but One Grung Above wrapped up in December. Destiny and Doom also wrapped up as well. A few of these were, I think in a lot of ways, figuring out our parameters with what we could do with our Twitch live stream channel, what our capabilities were, what the audience reaction to various shows would be, and by and large, super positive, super great. We're so thankful to everyone who takes the time to view our live streams, and of course to our players and dungeon masters for participating in the live streams as well. So some of the shows will likely be returning later in the year. Some will be returning sooner than others. Learn by Play will be coming back at the end of January. Heroes Graveyard, I believe, will be returning. We're talking with Neil and Trump SC at the moment. Girls Guts Glory will also be returning a little later in the spring. We're looking at around a March, April timeframe. We have a couple new shows that will be coming to the channel. As advertised,
Somebody's
yes.
excited.
I think this was always the placeholder, and it became the official title, the Mike Merle's Happy Fun Hour.
Yep, that was the. I am so looking forward to that.
That will be starting up soon, and that is one where slightly different format where we're going to have Mike's computer hooked up into the screen, so you can see the design and development of the material that he'll be working on. So
I think he was trying to see about painting minis or doing
Yes.
something as well. So like, it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see what he comes up with for that,
So
and how I have to change the setup, because that'll be fun.
it'll be a good
I look
challenge
forward
as
to
well.
it. Yep.
Craft Hags also coming back. We had been hosting them last year. I think we're going to actually be getting them on our channel moving forward, and that should also be starting up soon at the end of January as well. The next Fireside Chat with Nathan Stewart will be this Friday. Now, normally we do that the first Friday of the month. This was the first Friday back from the holiday break, so we wanted to give a little bit more time to let folks know that it's coming up. But this Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, tune in. There will be lots of giveaways as well. So,
And you never know what Nathan's gonna say.
no, but it's official. If it's coming from Nathan himself, it's definitely official.
Yep.
And Pelham and I will be busily down in the mailroom fulfilling all of the prizes on Monday morning. So. This weekend we have PAX South coming up. We've got the Acquisitions Inc. game Saturday, and we've got the C-Team on Sunday. And then also on Saturday we've got Games Done Quick. We'll be doing a Baldur's Gate 2 speed run, the Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition. So that will all be hosted on the D&D channel as well as their native channels as well. Coming through other announcements as well for Dragon Plus for the year. Oh, this was one of the topics that I wanted to mention with Chris on the line. So again, sort of the planning that we have laid out for 2018 for Dragon Plus. We'll continue to do an issue every other month. Issue 18 will be hitting around the end of February. That's going to be our crossover issue. We've got content that will be coming from Thomas Foss from Neverwinter is converting a Neverwinter digital experience scenario into a tabletop scenario. Our folks at Dragon Friends will be converting one of their live stream scenarios into a tabletop scenario as well. And then Magic just came out with their Planeshift Ixalan material today. So we're going to be putting that in Dragon Plus as well, but because it's coming out a little bit later, we'll be looking to augment that with some additional interviews as well to give it a little bit more of a value add for readers. So Chris, I know you and I had also talked about the schedule for Dragon Plus for 2018. Just to let folks know, while we had been hitting near the end of every other month, and I think part of that was to buy as much time for us to create and put together the issues. The timing in the second half of the year makes better sense for readers if we start moving things up a bit more. Particularly in October, we want to go near the beginning of October as opposed to the end, so that we can kind of lead into the Halloween season. And definitely for December, we were super happy to get out the gift guide in the last issue of Dragon Plus. But moving that issue in 2018 up to closer to the beginning of December gives readers more time to actually take a look at the offerings and make some of those potential purchases as well. So
and get them shipped.
Yes, get their material shipped. Otherwise, we're going to be continuing to pack the issue with the maps, with cartoons. We experimented with character sheets from some of our live stream games as well, just so folks can see what characters people are actually playing. So again, the dates will be creeping up throughout the year to time it better with reader expectations in a way. And again, this is the third time I've said it, but I'll say it again. Always soliciting comments and suggestions for Dragon Plus. Please do so in the feedback. So Chris, before we let you go here at the top of the hour, thanks so much for the trial by fire, for joining us on the Dragon Plus live stream.
No, it's fun. Thank you very much for having me, and thanks for doing it.
Oh, no, absolutely.
The whole thing. Seriously.
On behalf of Shauna, and Shauna has given us permission to look at the covers, to talk through the covers. She declined to be on. She said that Chris someday, but Chris could handle it as well. Shauna and I both have a very personal love for Dragon Plus, for the online magazine. We think it's a great creative sort of testing ground for various material. I think that the Cats was a fun example of the kind of material that has a good home in Dragon Plus. We just had the Betrayal. It's a great time to not only preview what's coming out, but provide added resources in terms of here's a bonus scenario, or here's a tactical survey and advice that we can do. Fiction as well. This is the Kwashe and Kupalue cover for Adam Lee, so that we can really find a good home for fiction that we want to put in for Dragon Plus. So internally we're huge fans of Dragon Plus. We want it to be the best that it can be for us and for readers, and we're very appreciative of the partnership between us and yourselves at Dialect as well for that.
Oh. That makes me happy. Thank you. No, as I said before, it's you guys are. It's really neat to work for a company who is working for their readers. I'm a silly guy, but I'll say that with a straight face. Seriously.
We endeavor to do so, and from the live stream side as well. All of the work that's gone into last year, and last year, and this is for Pelham as well, was. There was a lot of work that went into the Twitch live streaming, and Sean and Pelham made huge efforts to put our channel together. Not just all of the other streamers that are doing their own work, which is very exhaustive in a way, but for here in our studios, I just wanted to say thanks for 2017 and looking forward to what we're going to do in 2018.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to work. It's a pleasure to do this because it's so much fun to see what new stuff and fun things we can create. So.
And now you both have seen from the other side of the camera as well. So.
Wow.
All right, I'm on here every week.
That's part of our goal. I think in 2018 is not just to deliver the content and the platforms, but to kind of let the viewers and the players and readers know how it kind of comes together. So we wanted to have Sean on. We wanted to have Chris on. We'll have Matt Chapman on in a couple weeks. We'll have Pelham on again. In a couple weeks, just so folks know who's involved in what it is that we do around here. So
yeah. Well, good luck with Matt Chapman.
Oh, he'll no doubt be Skyping from a pub in merry old England. And
Yeah,
I'll
he
be
has
very
no sense of
jealous.
humor.
Done.
If there's, I think I've hit all of my announcements. So again, we'll be looking to interview Adam Rex for next week as well. He was our cover illustrator for issue 17. So we'll talk a bit more with him about his work and his involvement with Dungeons and Dragons. But in any case, on behalf of the Dragon Plus live stream, Chris and Sean, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, thank you to our viewers for watching. Please do consider following. Please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And we'll be coming up at 3:30 with Greg Tito and the news, followed by Chris Perkins and Dice Camera Action at 4 p.m. Pacific. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.